Good morning. It's going to be lunch for some of us. Go ahead and like, tag, and share to someone that you may know that is going through something in their marriage or friendship or relationship. We're going to talk about broken trust. Share this in a marriage group. Share this on your timeline. Save it so you can go back and watch the replay. Do whatever you need to do because we're going to talk about it, okay? Now, as people jumping on, some disclaimers. If what I'm talking about is annoying to you, you can unfollow me now because I'm not going to stop. If me talking about marriage for some odd reason agitates you, you can go ahead and follow me. Unfriend me because I'm not going to stop. And today is Friday. And it's going to be the best day of your life. So let's just jump right into it. So as I'm getting dressed today, I'm thinking about a lot of times in our relationships, we have trust issues because trust has been broken. Trust can be broken many ways. Let me turn this up. And if it's going in and out, let me know because I noticed that it's on Wi-Fi and I didn't mean for it to be on Wi-Fi. But if trust is broken, it's kind of hard for people to move on in a relationship, in a marriage, in a friendship once the trust has been broken. Because I'm feeling a certain type of way about you now. You're making me look at you sideways now. So above is the book that I keep talking about. Boundaries in Marriage. This can be applied to anything. You can go ahead and download it. You can go to my website, the link above when the video over. But we're just going to talk about it. A lot of times when trust is broken, the person that has been the accuser or the person that's been found guilty of breaking the trust, they have a hard time after 3 or 4 days of being consistent with respecting the boundaries of the person who they have broken the trust with. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, for example, you married, and I'm not talking about anything that's I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. Say, for instance, you married, and you find out your husband in the bathroom with the cell phone doing the most, okay? You and him have a conversation, you done broke the phone, and you lay down some ground rules now of how you want him to act now with the phone. That person will be really, really, really good about their phone for about 3 or 4 days, and they're going to get agitated, and they're going to go back to their old ways. And you can't do that when you are in the wrong. So, what we're going to talk about today is the 10 laws of boundaries. The law of sowing and reaping, the law of responsibility, the law of power, the law of respect, the law of motivation, the law of elevation, the law of proactivity, the law of envy, the law of activity, and the law of exposure. All these laws are going to help you and help you're breaking up. I'm breaking up. Let me turn this off. It shouldn't be breaking up now since I done fixed it. But all of these tips is going to help you in helping reestablish healthy boundaries when somebody done misuse you, done mishandled you. First of all, don't nobody go in no relationship not trusting the person unless you just, been severely injured as a child or something. But you don't initially go into a relationship thinking that the person is going to hurt you, okay? And people don't initially get in relationships. Sometimes they do, they have the wrong motives, but 98% of the time, people's motives towards you are pure. Things just happen. What I was thinking about was how we don't have the capacity to forgive people the way we say we are trying to forgive people. God forgives us over and over again. And if you would look at your relationship, sometimes it mirrors the relationship with God and the children of Israel. He would tell them something. He would set boundaries with them. He'll give them the laws. He'll give them commandments. But yet and still, they're going to still go back and do what they want to do. That's just how people are. And a lot of us have experienced that in relationships. So if you're not going to go anywhere, if you don't plan on leaving, if you don't plan on separation, and this is something that you're invested in, you got to learn how to deal with it. You got to be like God. You got to have a forgiving hard, and you got to come up with a way to protect yourself. The way God protects himself is by his word, his prophets, his preachers, his teachers. He put people in place to teach us how to love him. And that's another thing I want to tell you before I go any further. When you done broke somebody's trust, you cannot dictate what that person needs in order to move forward. You got to sit back. You got to be receptive enough to be able to hear that person's heart. And you got to pray and ask God to give you the courage and the strength to move forward in applying what this person is telling you. Like I said earlier, a lot of times people get mad, they get offended, and they get tired of you after they done tried for 4 days, and they feel like they done did the best that they can do. Let me go to my personal page and see if people can hear me. They feel like they done did the best that they can do, and they moving on now. They don't have the capacity. But when you done overstepped your boundaries with people, you got to have some long suffering. And you got to be able to, let's work it out. If we're going to work it out, it's not going to be on your terms. It's going to be on our terms. And I need you to be an active partaker in helping us reestablish these boundaries. Now, the law of sowing and reaping, you got to know, people, that your actions have consequences. You can download this whole book, Boundaries in Marriage, on my website, www.lashawndacherie.info/boundaries in marriage. Okay? There's actions and consequences to the things that you do. You can't do what you want to do and think that, especially when I'm talking about in the marriage, you can't do what you want to do and then think that you don't have to answer for it, that there's no consequences, that you free will it. You're not. You have to answer for your consequences because you don't belong to yourself. The two become one. Okay? The law of responsibility. We are responsible for each other, but not. We are responsible to each other, but not for each other. I'm gonna say that again. Let me pick the paper up. We are responsible to each other. Okay? To each other, but not for each other. I'm not responsible for your actions. I tell people this when I'm talking to people about marriage. You can never expect me to know anything about you without you telling me out your own mouth. We got to learn how to speak up. If you feel like there's a lack of sex in your relationship, there's a lack of communication, you need to actively try to resolve that issue by talking to your spouse or getting with somebody that can help you guys sit down and talk. But communication is the number one goal in any relationship. If we can communicate effectively, meaning both people can hear what the other person is saying, then we'll be able to move forward in our marriage, in our relationships. Communication. We're responsible to each other, but I'm not responsible for you. I'm sorry, I'm just not responsible. Miss Ruth there, call me when this go over so we can handle what you had emailed me about. The law of power. We have the power over some things. We do not have power over others, including changing people. You just can't change nobody. You cannot change people. You can't. You're only responsible for yourself. So if your trust has been broken, okay? If trust has been broken, if it's stealing money, if it's finding out the person on drugs, whatever it is, in order for us to reestablish, rebuild, we got to know that you can't blame me for what you're doing. You can't. I'm responsible for me. I'm responsible for me. I can't change you. I don't have the ability to change you, okay? We have power over some things, but we don't have power over others. I can't control you. I can't stop you. Anything that you're not communicating to me about, I can't help you with it. The law of respect. If we wish for others to respect our boundaries, we need to respect theirs. If you done tipped out, you done got caught up, whatever it is, because trust can be broken not only just by infidelity. It can be by you lying about stuff. Whatever it is. If you want me to respect the fact that you're trying to change, you're going to have to respect the fact that what you did caused me to change. Do that make sense? Am I making sense to somebody? You can't get mad at people. This is a lot of our problems. You get mad because you done hurt somebody. You get mad because you done got caught up in a second relationship or something weird. You done got mad because you done got caught up, and instead of us dealing with it, you breaking that off. Whatever the problem is, you want to still be connected to the problem. You want to still talk to the problem. You want to still be around the problem. And that's not respecting the boundaries within a marriage. Okay? Respect. You don't want me to do it, don't you do it. Don't know. It's a no for me. The law of motivation. We must be free to say no before we can wholeheartedly say yes. No is okay. No is okay. The law of evolution. We need to evaluate we need to evaluate the pain our boundaries have caused others. We need to evaluate the pain that you have caused others. You got to own this. If you don't hurt somebody, you got to own it. And you got to be patient. Excuse me. You got to be patient as that person heals. And you can't put a timestamp on how long it takes somebody to heal. And you should be over that by now. You can't do that. You can't do that. Especially if you're in the wrong. We need to evaluate the pain our boundaries have caused others. You need to be able to let that person express to you. You did this to me and it hurt me. Without you getting mad because you hurt them. You see what I'm saying? A lot of time, people get mad at you because they hurt you. You got to make that make sense. You mad at me because you hurt me. Make it make sense. But it's a defense mechanism to keep you from wanting to hear what's being said. But you need to, people healing is different for everybody. You need to be able to sit down and hear the person heart who you hurt, especially if that's your husband, especially if that's your wife. And then not only you need to be able to hear them, you need to be able to bend to change the negative behavior. You can't tell me that we're working on boundaries, we're working on our marriage, and you still over there doing the same thing over and over again like a spinning top. You just going round and round and round and round and round in a circle. And then you wonder why I'm this way. And I ain't talking about me. I'm talking from past experience, and I'm just talking about what I'm talking about. You can't handle people any kind of way and think that you're gonna walk into the house to Mary Poppins and we ain't talked about this stuff. You ain't let me get this out. I'm telling everybody else how you hurt me, but I'm not able to tell you how you hurt me. That's not right. And if you're the person, you need to, if it costs you going on a fast, whatever you got to do to humble yourself enough that the person can sit down and talk to you about what's really going on. What you did hurt me this way. I'm affected this way because of the boundaries that you broke. The law of proactivity. We need actions to solve problems based on our values, wants, and needs. We need to come up with a solution of how to solve this problem. How to keep this wall up. If you was in the military, you go to briefings, you got manuals, staffings in the morning. You're doing all of this stuff to make sure that America's protected. I need you to take forth that same effort and energy to make sure that the boundaries in our marriage are protected. We got to come up with a plan. What's going to work for me and what's going to work for you. I need to see your cell phone. I need that passcode. I need all your passwords. I need to see what you're doing. You got to be accountable to me until I'm able to rebuild our trust. And if you ain't willing to do that, then something wrong with you. Something wrong with you. That means you still want to do what you want to do. If you're not willing to respect. I ain't doing all of that. Yes, you is. If you want this to work, yes, you will. You understand what I'm saying? If you want your relationship to work, you need to be able to do whatever it takes, especially if you're the person that's at fault. And then this is what happens sometimes. What happen? They agree to the terms of the law of proactivity. They agree to the term. But as soon as you come up to them, let me see your cell phone. What you want to see my cell phone for? Did we talk about this? We're not going to argue about nothing that's in the contract. So I tell women, write it down in the contract. I tell men, write it down on a piece of paper and have the other person sign it. So that you can't throw up in my face when I'm coming to you about anything that we done said we working on and you doing anything contrary to the contract. You said that this was okay. So I need you to pipe down and give me that phone. You see what I'm saying? Next thing is the law of envy. We will never get what we want if we focus outside our boundaries on what others have. I learned this. Instead of you worrying about somebody else's grass, instead of you jumping across the fence trying to water other people's grass and mow other people's lawn, your best bet is for you to focus on your yard. Sweep around your own door, because the grass is never greener on the other side. It's just not. The devil give you the illusion that if you leave your job, you do this, you do that it's better. It's better over there at Sally House. And that's a lie. It's never better. Never is it better. That's the biggest hoax the enemy can ever pump you up to think that it's better. It's better for you to sit down, hire a professional yard mower, work on my lawn. I'm going to work on my lawn. I'm going to patch up my shrubs. I'm going to work on it. But I'm not about to jump over the fence thinking that somebody else's grass is greener. I learned through all three, the last two, focus on what you have. I'm so focused on my marriage with David. This is his first marriage. And I focus on being the best wife to David. I can't worry about the other stuff. But to David, I'm focusing on our grass. I ain't over there worried about nobody else's grass. Because as long as I do the maintenance on my grass, I ain't got to worry about him trying to go mow nobody else's lawn. Hello? The law of activity. We need to take the initiative in setting limits rather than being passive. A lot of times, what keeps the walls or boundaries of building trust is that you try to be too passive. You think not saying nothing. You think not approaching the situation is just going to disappear. And next thing you know, your spouse been in a whole relationship with somebody for 35 years and you just okay with it. The devil. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're not doing that. The law of exposure. We need to communicate our boundaries to each other. You need to learn how to talk to your spouse. I learned this. A lot of the stuff that we got going on is spiritual. Your spouse need to be delivered. You might need to be delivered. There might be spirit spouses connected to you, him, or both of you guys. You never know. But I do know that the enemy don't like marriages. He don't like togetherness. That's why I told you in the beginning, if what I'm posting offends you, if you tired of somebody talking about marriage, unfollow me, because I'm going to talk about it. Somebody need to be the voice to help us. We in all these marriage clubs sharing all these marriage memes, but you don't want to hear nobody talk about it. We're going to talk about it. Let me tell you. I'm going to tell you about me. Why this your third marriage? Is it them? The common denominator in those marriages is Lashawnda. Okay? Lashawnda had some issues. As I was working on myself on the back end, I found out that I had started getting attacked in my dreams, right? Literally attacked in my dreams. Waking up feeling like somebody had intercourse with me. The more I prayed about it, the more I studied on it, the Lord revealed to me that I had a spirit spouse. Okay? And when you have a spirit spouse, they don't want to see you because it's a jealousy. So they do things to sabotage your relationship. Doors, hey Auntie Mary, doors was opened up as a young lady for me when I did certain things in my life. For example, the abortion, different things like that opened me up to generational curses, bloodline, things that was going on in my bloodline opened me up to this spirit. How I handled myself as a young lady, I opened myself up to this spirit. So the spirit was behind all the broken relationship. Why I couldn't stay in a relationship. Why it just felt, even like in dating, it just seemed like I couldn't, if it got serious, they went somewhere else. It was a spirit spouse. I got prayer, deliverance from that situation, from that spirit. But I had to recognize and realize what it was. Yes, sometimes we can't recognize until somebody speak on it. But here lately, I've been getting a lot of people been saying like little negative stuff. I'm always gonna talk about it because it's dear to me. I want people to be married. I want people to be in healthy relationships. I want you to learn how to talk. I want you to realize that men need help too. Men need wives and sisters and aunties to push them, to help them to be better. Because don't nobody teach us this stuff. We look at movies, videos, and all this stuff, and everybody got their own picture in their mind of what they think a relationship, a marriage supposed to look like. Then you get together, you and another person ain't talked about what he feel like a marriage supposed to look like, or what your dream fantasy is, and then you get together and marriage ain't no fantasy. It depicts a relationship with the Lord. Marriage and love, it hurts. Jesus died. He said he so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Love requires you to give. Love sometimes requires a little pain. It's not always taking selfies and posting them. That's not love. Love endures. It's patient. It's kind. It's long suffering. Love. People used to or people say, especially if you in a teeter-totter relationship and you don't kind of, nobody want to hear you talk about it no more. They don't understand that the heart pumps different. You can't control who you love. So you think that people out here in these streets want to love people that's mistreating them? You think God wanted kept forgiving the children of Israel the way he wanted to? He had long suffering. He had grace. He had mercy. So you got to learn how to apply grace and mercy to your spouse. Especially if you know you ain't going nowhere. You can't restart the relationship. You can't. You can't go back and change the hands of time. So what you can do is start from where y'all are, developing healthy boundaries, building together. Learn how to, even though you hurt, whoever hurt, learn to compliment that person. Learn to be nice to that person. Learn to encourage that person. You did real good today. You made me feel loved today. I actually trusted you a lot more today than I did yesterday. Thank you for letting me look at your phone. Thank you for when I walk in the room and you know I got insecurities because of what happened to us. Thank you for making me feel safe. That's all we want. We want somebody to make us feel safe. And when we don't feel safe and we don't know how to properly communicate, sometimes we'll make your life a living hell. Not on purpose. It's because we're frustrated, we're hurt, we're angry, and it does not look like you're trying the way you said that you would. They be crying, begging, slobbing, doing all of this when they're in the doghouse. But soon as they feel like 3 days later, they can go back to you got to be consistent. Anything you do consecutively for 21 days becomes a habit. New habits have to be established. Boundaries got to be respected, and they got to be in place in order for us to move on. That's all I'm saying. I love y'all. I want you and your spouse to be happy. I want you to feel the euphoric feelings of love that you be feeling. I want you to feel that. The movies that you watch where the flowers, I want you, if you ain't feeling it, then you need to try to you gotta recreate this stuff. It ain't gonna fall out the sky. And like I told y'all the last couple times, it's a book. It takes one to tango. Sometimes it might take you being the person that pushing it so that the marriage can work. Ain't no need of both of us clicking up our heels. God ain't gave up on you. You still here and you breathing. And I'm sure yesterday you did some crazy stuff that you shouldn't have did. That you should be thumped upside your head by Jesus right now. But he ain't thumped you. He still love you where you are, and we have to learn how to love our spouses where they are. We gonna get on these boundaries, bruh. Sister, we're gonna talk about these boundaries, but we ain't got to try to beat each other up with the things that have hurt us. Raise your hand if you done been hurt before. All of us done been hurt before. But you know you ain't going nowhere. So start rebuilding where you are. Build the wall. Be like Jeremiah. I'm building a wall and I'm not coming down. Some days you may not feel like building, but this is your marriage. This is your relationship. And if God didn't give up on you, you don't give up. Now, if they're trying to kill you, and they just can't let Sally Mae go, then you need to let it go. You're welcome. You're welcome. It's too soon that we give up on men. They little boys. They want to be encouraged. Their ego want to be stroked. And what happens is we be so hurt that we don't have nothing good to say to them because you don't hurt me. But if you go in the shower and practice, Google it and print out some nice things to say, I bet you it'll start working. The word said, through love and kindness do I draw thee. You can't draw nobody with no vinegar on your lips. But if you did it with honey, look how Samson was so stupid and laying in Delilah's lap, knowing Delilah was finna do the same thing over and over again. But because she was so nice to him, because she caressed him with her words, oh, Samson, tell me your secrets. She went, oh, your hair nappy, you're ugly, you're stupid. Ain't nobody gonna tell you nothing if you talking to them like that. So we gotta change our language. Thank you, Stephanie. We have to change our language when it comes to our spouses. If y'all would have seen, y'all did see my husband when he first came to me. He was all rugged with gold teeth and tattoos everywhere. And you would have thought that he needed somebody that was like, boy, come on, put him up. But he said what made him fall in love with me was that I was so nice and gentle and kind with him. And I never told him no. I never raised my voice at him. I had to find my sweetness some days because, woo-hoo, he was a tough cookie in the beginning. But I purposely never, ever, remember this, I never, ever, ever make a black man feel less than a king. I don't care if you don't go to church. I would never say anything to make a black man feel small. I don't care if you smoking crack. I ain't gonna, you on crack, your mammy on crack. You can't do nothing for me in the bedroom. You ain't got no money. I would never, ever, ever say anything to make my black king feel less than a king. Never. I don't care what they do. They need encouragement. And the person that they're running to is being sweet and kind, nice and gentle. And it's a place of peace. So make where you are a place of peace If you don't know how to do it, Google it. Look at some videos. But you got to establish a place of peace. And nothing happens overnight. The wall wasn't built overnight. You got to start from where you are and be diligent. And it'll work. Believe, work, be nice, speak kind, stroke their ego. But we're gonna talk on these boundaries. We're going to have some boundaries. And I'm going to remind you of these boundaries. But I'm not going to be all up in your face like I'm a dude. You got to remember that you are a lady. Remember, I remember in the 50s, they have the gloves and everything just so dainty. Now you want to be like that girl on Brooklyn to my, bite the F up. Shut the F up. No, you're not a dude. You're the lady. And they need somebody that's going to be soft, compassionate, because they do stupid stuff. I tell people that men are little boys wrapped up in grown people flesh. They still need somebody on their team. They need a cheerleader. They need somebody to pump them up. And if you pump them up, you'll see a difference. Okay? Now I got to get some work did. I hope this video has been a blessing to you. Share it on your timeline. If you don't want nobody to know you shared it in a group. Share it in somebody's inbox. Go to my website, www.lashawndacherie.info, and download. I'm giving you this free information now. The least you can do is go download it. And read it. Read 2 or 3 pages and start applying it to your life. And when you get ready to do things differently, make sure that the person is aware of what you're doing so it doesn't look weird and cringy to them. Like, what's she doing? She came out of nowhere doing. When you finna change your behavior, you might need to give them a warning that I'm finna start doing things differently, so they won't you won't feel rejected because they don't know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? If somebody used to you beating them upside their head with a frying pan, and then all of a sudden you start coming with the frying pan full of eggs, and they're talking, wait a minute, you trying to poison me? You trying to poison me? No, I'm trying to be nice to you. Okay, as soon as you finish, call me. Okay. So, y'all enjoy your day, the weekend. Love on Bae. It's Bae day today and every day. I make every day about my husband. He wake up every morning. I'm kissing him on his forehead. And like I said, from the jump, you would have thought that by the way he looked, that he needed somebody that was rough. But actually, life had beat him up enough. Life, the people out in the world had beat him up enough. So I wanted to be the person that build him up, not beat him up. Let's build them up. Even though you broken, Jesus was on the cross bleeding. You heard me? Not bleeding, believing. Saying, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. So you're going to have to sometimes do some stuff that you don't want to do while you bleeding. You're going to have to Google positive words of affirmation for my man while you believing. If you want it to work. If you want it to work, you got to work it. Work it. Work it out. Work it out. How you going to pay your rent? Well, anyway, let me go. Love y'all. And if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, follow me on TikTok, Instagram. Send me a thing. I'll follow you back too. All that good stuff. Let's get it popping. If you in Thomasville, you in Bainbridge, you in Cairo, Albany at Kingdom Ambassadors on July the 22nd, we will be having a free Let's Write. If you got a journal, a book that you've been trying to birth out, a devotional, I'm going to show you how to do it in one day. 4 hours, all I need. And you'll be a published author at the end of those 4 hours, okay? You can go to my page and go to Start Publishing, www.lashawndacherie.info, and click on the tab, say Let's Write. Fill out information. I will need your manuscript or what your ideas or whatever you have written. Don't let that get you tied up or tripped up. I'll need it by July the 8th. If you have stuff written down on a tablet and you ain't typed it, I really need that soon so I can send it to my assistant, and you can pay her to type it for you. Okay? We just trying to birth these babies over here. That's what Start Publishing do. we birth our babies, book babies, okay? So again, register. That's July the 22nd from 10 to 4. We're going to feed you. Is it 10 to 4? 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. 10 to 2. I'm going to feed you. I'm going to cook. So, girl, you're going to be full. We're going to have some good music playing. Relaxing meditation music. Bring your laptop and your hotspot. And let's become authors. Okay? It's free to all CAM members. Kingdom Ambassador members. If you're not a member of Kingdom Ambassador, it is $100 for you. But, hey, I'm going to show you how to self-publish and do your thing, girl. So, holla at you, girl. Let me get some work done. Bye.